Welcome back to Behind the Content, the podcast show where I talk to content creators, and today I have a very special guest, YouTuber, internet chef, but someone I've been following for at least 10 years on YouTube. I am very delighted to introduce you all to Barry Lewis.
Hello, how's it going? Good to be here.
It is such an honor to have you here, Barry. As I said, I've been a fan of your work for many, many years, and you have inspired me to also be more creative with my own cooking. I like cooking a lot. It's such a strange thing because you've been making videos on YouTube now for a very, very long time. Just what inspired you to start?
Well, the whole start, when I look right back at them, the channel was originally called My Virgin Kitchen because I was a virgin in the kitchen, and sort of back then YouTube wasn't really a big thing, and it was more, I mean, it was online. People knew you could put videos on there, but there was no people wanting to be, I don't think the term influencer even existed back then, and blogs were all the big thing. And my wife was heavily pregnant with our first child, and she said, "Oh, you're gonna have to sort of sort your own dinner out tonight." And I just remember looking at the cupboards and going, "Oh my gosh, like I don't even know how to cook." So my first video was literally me poaching an egg in the kitchen with a very bodged camcorder, no tripod, just really rough and ready, just to sort of show people that I was going to try and poach an egg. And I think actually looking back, if that egg failed, I probably wouldn't have done another video. And I just sort of carried on from there, really. And sort of as the years have progressed, I think after about 3 or 4 years, I took a career break from my my job when I was working on a building site as a quantity surveyor, and took a career break for 6 months to try and film during the day and see what happens. And I still don't know why I did it, because I was only making about sort of £5 a month from revenue back then, which I thought was brilliant. But I had like a mortgage to pay and a kid, and it's quite a brave thing to do. And luckily things all worked out quite well. And that's how I just now carry on. I felt sort of playing with your food is very much like the essence of my content now. I just find, even with the years that I've done content, that just food just comes and brings all these new trends, and certainly in styles of content as well. But everyone's got their own unique style and things, and just keeping it honest and humble in some ways is quite nice. And I think that's something I've always tried to sort of stay relevant to, with my family heavily involved in the videos too, and showing your mistakes. And I think playing with my food. And I say sometimes people refer to me as a chef, but I've almost got too much respect for chefs because of like how much graft and hard work it is. And I'd say I'm a really passionate cook, and it's been a heck of a journey.
Yes, I was wondering, so do I say you're a chef? It's because a chef or a cook, I know, to most normal people are pretty much the same thing. I know there is a natural distinction, but it's also, I think you sort of earn it in a little way, because you also have two cookbooks.
Yeah, absolutely, that's very true. Yeah, I've got a third one in the works, to be honest, that I keep threatening to release, and then new trends come along, and I'm like, I want to add this and tweak it and things like that. So I would say that maybe there's like an internet chef, maybe in quotation marks, that sort of version of it in some ways. I could see that. But I wouldn't say that if you put me in a race to see how quickly I could chop an onion and what would happen versus a skilled chef. But at the end of the day, I'd still get there, and the onion will be chopped, and might take me a bit longer. But I'm just literally, like I say, playing with my food and having fun and making memories in some ways, and I think that's what I find that cooking is a little bit about. I've obviously got evidence over the years of videos that I can watch back maybe when I'm in a nursing home one day, but at the same time I've got all these memories of cooking with my kids and my family and friends, and sort of almost documenting like learning as well as having fun. And it's really strange to be able to get paid for it, because I'd still do it if you couldn't, and I think that's really important to do it for the right reasons.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I really love about your content, is that honesty and the puns. I will say it straight out. It's all the puns, and you were really rocking them out recently with the banana skin bacon.
Oh gosh, yes, yeah, that was a really interesting video, actually. A lot of people sort of saying like how I didn't know either that you could generally cook with banana peels, and it was quite an appealing video as a pun.
There we go. Hey.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes there's sometimes really unintentional, like with egg puns and pasta. I did a video with my wife this morning, and it was just like she was actually competing with me. Poor lady's like sort of put up with it for years now, that she is almost so like a walking pun machine, and she was almost sort of like competing with me. I think she actually won a pun off with me, which would be in another video coming up. But it keeps keeps the dad joke strong.
Oh yeah, you have to. It's like an unwritten rule. If you're a dad, you have to keep the dad puns. You have to.
Yeah.
And I said I've noticed that you do cover a lot of sort of the most recently your TikTok viral recipe videos. And
Yeah.
do you spend your time just going through TikTok, or do people send you these and go, "Hey Barry, try this out"?
Yeah, I'm very lucky that I'll get people that will just sort of send me a message on Twitter or Instagram or wherever now, and I'll just sort of I've got this huge list on my phone from I've probably got about 300 video ideas on my phone. That I mean, that's always been my top tip to anyone in any sort of form of work or anytime anyone gets an idea for something is to write it down. That used to always be my worst thing. So I started doing it on notes like 5 years ago, and I've now got like 300 like random things, and one of them was banana peel recipes the other day. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, and that was why that was literally a video. So yeah, it's that's yeah, it was a good one with the TikTok ones because, like I sort of touched on a moment ago, the puns. Sorry, not the puns. I'll say that again. Sorry. The good thing with the TikTok one is that, like the trends, like I mentioned earlier, is that they sort of come and go, and things like TikTok and all these other platforms that have been and gone, like that people are just on it, and I'll just get sent something when it's relatable, and I can sort of just hop on that and see if it is as easy as it says it is, or if it's a complete disaster, which is sometimes half the fun. And what keeps me going is that variety. I think if there was only like I just did a content channel where I was just making shepherd's pie for 10 years, then it would probably be quite bored by now. So that's that great thing in this genre, is that there's so much variety, and obviously dietary requirements and things now, like trying to do like sort of maybe sometimes the odd vegan twist on things, and just trying and keep things as much down the middle as I can to appeal to everyone without being too I mean, obviously I know that it would be really good for me if I focused on perhaps one particular niche, but that's what I quite like, is like spinning these different plates, and just having like almost like a tapas cooking channel in a way, where I might do something more serious or something more like these trends, or something like just completely out there. So yeah, that's what I love about it.
I also particularly love your kitchen gadget testing. You've done a lot now over the years.
Yeah.
And because sometimes you will see these things on Amazon or Instagram and you go, is that really, really useful? And sometimes seeing you take the fall, shall we say, on some of these things and try them out, it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's useful. Oh, no, that's rubbish. Nah. It's, you really have got such a wide variety of food-related content, shall we say. And you've also collaborated with quite a few people over the time, including one of my other favorite YouTubers, Tom Scott, which was completely like, wait, you're doing a video with Tom Scott? What?
Yeah, that was great. Well, he came to my house and we did like this crazy ice cream test thing, but then we also put garlic bread to the edge of space, which was absolutely bonkers. So I did 3 different garlic breads on my channel. I mean, ironically, by the time I got to where we were launching the garlic bread from with this weather balloon, the garlic bread was like, was not in the best nick anyway. But it was a really fun video and really rustic. Just chucked it up there, and I was really surprised that how the GoPro just kind of like followed it, and we were in a car like chasing it, trying to predict where it was going to land, and they could give us a radius of like 20 miles, and we were trudging through some farmer's field to get it, and I just remember this farmer coming up to us just before we got the scene, going, "Oh, what are you doing?" We're like, "Oh, just getting some garlic bread." He's like, "Right." "Oh yeah, it fell from the sky. It's a long story." And then we left him with the weather balloon man, and then we had the garlic bread, which was pretty cool. And he's a really nice guy, and again, sort of in his way, quite his setup as well. There's not really many production company with him, quite one man band when he's rolled up with me before, and really, really cool, and just shows the variety that's out there, content, and the potential that you've got of just keeping it original, I guess, and collaborating. Sometimes they go really well, sometimes not so good. I think it's really nice to sort of get to know someone first of all before you collaborate with them, and you can get that nice rapport there. And I've sort of been in rooms or watched ones where you can quite clearly see where they put 2 people together that don't really know each other that well, and it can be not so natural. And I think that's with Tom. It's quite strange. He's not someone that I would probably socialize with off of YouTube. We have completely different sort of interests, perhaps, but at the same time, like, he's way more intelligent than me. I'm trying to do dad jokes and puns, and he's talking about weather balloons and raspberry pis. So, but like, it's just amazing how that content crossed over, and it was a great day.
You're approaching now. You're very, very close to 1 million subscribers. I just had a check now. That's incredible. Is it? Do you find it sort of strange that there are there's hundreds of thousands of people watching your stuff every week, every time you release a video?
Yeah, it is a little strange sometimes. Yeah, and I think it's sort of going back to that. I think the numbers thing is something I've never really worried about. So I think if I had a channel that I had one subscriber, I would put just as much effort in as I do now, if that makes sense. I think that's the really important thing, and the audience can see through that. And if you're having fun, then naturally that growth will happen. I'm sure now it's probably a lot harder to grow. Like when I first started, I think it's, I remember I go to my kids' playground like last year, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's an influencer, it's a content creator. Like, I want to be a YouTuber like you." And when I'm older, it's like 4 years ago, it's like, what even is that? How do you make revenue doing that sort of thing? So yeah, it's a great milestone to hit. And I think like sometimes I'll get spotted in a supermarket, or the weirdest one was actually in Disney World in Florida, where one of the monkeys from Jungle Book literally whispered in my ear, "I'm not supposed to talk, but I really like your videos." So I was like, oh wow, this is cool. So yeah, sometimes when I look at the views on some videos, and I'll be like, wow, if those sorts of people were like in front of me or in a football stadium, it can be really, really surreal. And that's what I find nice, is when I actually meet these people and put a name to a username effectively, because then it sort of suddenly feels more real. And certainly I'm not a massive channel like Logan Paul or whoever like that, but I mean it's still a lot of people, and really flattering really that it just sort of shows that if you keep things humble, there's an audience for everyone in every genre and niche. And that's the great thing about this sort of online world. In some ways you can find all these communities and resonate with certain characters, and
because you stumbled on a question I was going to ask, was obviously sort of being a nice British YouTuber. I was going to ask, do you get recognized much when you're out and about, when you're going around Sainsbury's or Tesco's, wherever?
I do. Yeah, it is weird. I would say, I mean, I don't really leave the house that often, and I tend to shop at very weird times. Either late at night or first thing in the morning, just because I want to film or I need to get something for the next day. I prefer to go late at night because it's absolutely like dead. The problem with doing that is you tend to not always have stuff on the shelf that you need.
No.
So first thing in the morning is normally a bit more exciting, because it's like, oh, hopefully they've got it in stock and they've just topped up overnight. But I tend to find that I'll go to the cinema or something, or I was out for a meal the other night, and you can sometimes get people that are like quite polite and will just sort of nod their head, and then they might send me a tweet afterwards, or you can tell that sometimes people are really nervous and won't say anything, and then others are like straight up come up to you and want a selfie or whatever. And it's really weird, and like it's something I've kind of got used to, but it's something I don't take for granted, and just I almost feel like, my friends seem to like it more than I do in some ways. When it happens if I'm with them, they're sort of like, "Oh, here he is." I'm like, "Oh yeah, well." So to me, I'm just like a guy in his kitchen, just talking to a piece of glass, a camera, and just having a laugh. And then these people kind of like, "Oh wow, yeah, you know just as much about me as I do because I've shared it with the internet." So I've sort of learned over the years to maybe tone down too much of what I share because of certain sort of safety things that could happen with any creator of any size. But at the same time, it's sort of like, I could share that. I don't know, my dog passed away, one of my pugs, like 18 months ago maybe, and someone came up to me and was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry about your dog." I was like, "How do you know about?" "Oh, right, yeah, of course you know about my dog because I've told the internet." Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So it's sort of really, really strange, but a nice, sort of quite flattering experience when it happens, and something like I say I never take for granted. And it's sort of, if anything, I'd much rather that someone just came up and just said hey, and I can just sort of then thank them for help making this journey possible, really.
Yeah, it must be a little bit of a sort of surreal experience, and also my condolences for your loss of Amy. It is such a shame, but at least you still got Boston, and Boston's still adorable.
Yeah, those characters, those pugs, is brilliant. And Boston is he gets fed well unintentionally sometimes as well. He certainly gets more than dog biscuits over the years.
There was a great shot of him. I think it was the most recent video. He's just sat there against the counters, and it's just like, oh, he knows where to sit.
Yeah, he's got it sussed out. Like the minute I'm done filming, he'll like do a few laps of the kitchen looking for some crumbs, and he'll wait in his bed until like I'll be talking. "Oh, here's the ingredients today," and then once the cooking's on, he'll be right by my feet, and really loyal. I could get him to hold a camera. That would be the ultimate. But he's a good taste tester. So yeah.
Oh, bless him. And because again, you stumbled onto sort of nothing I was going to ask was sometimes you do make quite a lot of food. Do you and your family eat it all?
Generally, we try to, or we'll sort of store it up and eat it over a few days, or we can sometimes incorporate it into a meal. I've got a video coming up where I made a massive Biscoff biscuit, which is coming up next week, I think. And I ended up slicing that up and taking that to my tennis club on Monday night, and they all demolished it and loved it, and sort of said, "Oh, what is it?" And I just sent them a picture, and they were like, oh, "Okay, that's cool." So it generally all does go, which is great because it's sort of like trying to make the most of, it's generally is food. It's not a prop in some ways. So I have a daughter that's vegan and another one dairy free, so it does make it a little tricky sometimes. But I think the guilty thing for me sometimes is that I'll do a video, have breakfast in the morning, and then by midday I might be done and eat the food, which sometimes could be like a main meal, and then about 2 o'clock I'll be like, oh, I'm peckish, I didn't have any lunch, and then I'll have some lunch and be like, oh gosh, I've actually already have. So it's sort of like trying to sort of pace yourself a little bit, and there's some videos where I can't do that, like say like the gadget ones. It's I might be eating it like a boiled egg that hasn't worked properly or something, and it sort of swings and roundabouts. There's days where it's like wow, there's a lot of food, and days where it's like, okay, this isn't edible.
Because it sort of ties into I'm guessing you do just cook regular meals like any other regular family, because people must soon go, oh, you must be eating fantastically every day, and it's just like I'm assuming that's not the case.
No, so we keep it really simple generally, and we usually like slow cook quite a lot, and it has, we've learned lots of tips and tricks from just the videos that we picked up of like different techniques and how to batch cook sometimes, or from roasting a chicken, what you can get out of that sometimes, or using the freezer a lot more, and even the freezer aisle itself in supermarkets, we found that like some like absolute hidden gems in there, which are some of the sliced like herbs and spices. Oh, sorry, herbs and garlic, particularly like not got a chopped garlic. They've got these little tubs in the supermarket, like for quite good value, where it's all done for you. You just sprinkle it out. And when I first discovered that, and I might be living under a rock, but I was like, this is amazing. And we do get to eat well, and but then at the same time, I put a picture on my Instagram fairly recently of some like nostalgic dinner. I was like, how sometimes we'll just chuck it back and have bog standard fish fingers, chips and beans. Proper. That's that sort of comfort food. It's just nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. When you get a chance to go all out and you can cook and you've got the time, that's great. But sometimes when you're busy, and there's something like that nostalgia with that. It's quite triggers memories and tasty.
So, I was going to say there's not wrong with a portion like beans on toast or fish fingers. It's
I say beans on toast, like when I try and say that, like I do videos with baked beans sometimes in the past, and like they've obviously, so my audience from America, and they're just like, we don't get it, because obviously there's a more sort of sweeter and barbecue-y kind of vibes, and beans on toast to them, it's just like, oh man, it's horrendous. Whereas beans on toast here, there is just, it's so comfort food, isn't it? Like you say.
Yeah, it's standard after-school tea in many homes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm craving that now, actually.
Sorry. And I'm British, but I currently live in Finland, and so explaining some of the things to my Finnish husband has been a bit interesting. But something like beans on toast, he likes just as much as me. So it's like, yes, I got a good one here.
That's great. Can you get British baked beans over there?
We can get Heinz beans over here, yeah. But there's a couple of things you can't get. Like for example, I like Marmite. Can't get it over here, and it's like, no, I have to, whenever I go over to the UK, I have to bring a tub back. Nando's sauces. I love Nando's peri peri sauce. Have to bring that in from the UK as well. So there's a few things.
I was going to do homemade Marmite soon, actually. There's a way to make your own. Takes a little bit of time, but look out for that soon, maybe, and I'll give you a shout out. That might save you some time.
that probably would save me some time. And because my husband wanted to ask you, actually, have you actually tried any Finnish treats?
I have. I'm sure I have. Yeah, I used to do taste test videos from different countries. People would send me boxes, and this is actually a complete honest story. Someone once sent me one from, I want to say Kuwait, and generally my rules were, if you send me a box of food, it was like ideally it'd be packaged, like, in a sealed packaging. I know you said "bye," yeah, I do my videos then. Sorry. Whenever I say the word seal, I sing like "Kiss from a Rose" from Seal. Sorry. If you watch the videos, like, regularly, people will be like, whenever I say the word seal, I'll get people that are plumbers that will, like, message me going, "I can't stop singing Kiss from a Rose whenever I say the word seal at work."
Not the only one.
Yeah, so yeah, so say for example, to make it simple, if someone sent me a box from UK, if it had crisps in it, it'd be a Walker's, and it'd be in a package that's proper closed, and the same with a chocolate bar, whatever. But I had one from Kuwait that was all wrapped in cling film, and I remember after, like, tasting the second thing, I was thinking, I don't know if this is safe, actually. So I did never put that video out, and I kind of stopped doing that a little bit. But I'm sure I did one from Finland, and I remember it being possibly licorice heavy. I'm not sure.
I just did a quick look at your YouTube channel. It was with your mum.
Yes.
The thumbnail has Polly in it, which I really quite like.
Polly. Yes. Yeah. No, I've did so many of them. I remember there was a real nice Asian one with like edible sort of noodles that was sort of dried, like almost like noodles that you'd get in a packet just to add boiling water, but you could just eat them like crisps, and that was amazing. But I have to. It feels like I need to revisit the Finnish video. Actually, it was all of those were good from memory. They were always fun and quirky. But I don't know if it was Finland or maybe Norway. There was one that was really, really like licorice heavy. So it was like, oh, blimey.
Yeah, they love their the licorice up here in the Scandinavian countries, as I say, because it's just like, candy the rest of the world, all the colours of the rainbow. Candy in Nordic countries, black. It's just all licorice. Or salmiak. Yeah. Oh, no.
Yes, salmiak. That's right. Yeah, wow. I'm going to have to watch that video back now. And I'll have to see if I do a few follow. I do get a lot of people saying, "Oh, can I send you a box from here?" And I think Hawaii was one of the most fun ones that I did. But the Finland one was it was really cool. And I think what happened was some of my followers started sending boxes to each other, so it created this little box food swapping club thing unofficially, and it was sort of it was quite cool, really. But I do remember that now. Yeah.
And late last year, I with my husband had the privilege of visiting Tokyo, and it was just incredible. The range of food and snacks there. Oh wow, it's absolutely incredible. And it got me thinking what I was thinking to ask you was, is there anywhere in the world where you would love to go and try the food?
Oh, I would probably say Tokyo or Asia in general, like, because I've visited America a lot, and from that it's obviously very nice food, but very sort of not generic, but a lot of slow cooked barbecue, pulled pork, and then sort of your fast foody stuff. So I really would love to go and try like an authentic pad thai and things like that. I think I would really like to try, just get these real flavors. And India as well in that regard as well. I think just to go out there or even Italy and have like proper learn how to make proper pasta with a nonna on the side streets on a little table with smashing out fresh pasta. I think that's the great thing. Every part of the world's got their own sort of unique side to it. Yeah, I went to Italy and learned how Grana Padano cheese was made. That was really interesting. But I did it. But I don't actually like cheese. So I remember going there, and they did this taste test right at the end. This had this huge. It's like Parmesan and Grana Padano are kind of like rivals. It's sort of like they say that the other one tastes of soap, and I don't like cheese anyway. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to go over there and do this video and see. I could probably have a slither of it. And right at the end, they had like the local mayor there when they had these barrels of cheese that this one's like 6 months, this is a year, and they went all up to one epic one that was like 5 years old, and they pulled out this big cork of every one, and I had to eat every one. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is quite the experience. But from that, I've actually started to like it a lot more. But I had to really bite my lip when I was this mayor of this local Italian village was like looking at me, going, "Oh, do you like it?" Yeah, really nice. And like needing to rush to the toilet for try and grab some water from somewhere. But I think that Asia would be to try a sort of pad thai and just experience the culture and all different flavors and different ways of cooking would be really interesting.
And do you film videos every single day, or do you absolutely make sure that you've got time just for yourself?
I'm starting to learn to get more time for myself where I can. I used to do 3 videos a week, but it became quite exhausting. So, and there's some days where, like right now, I'm like 2 weeks ahead of my content, which is quite good. And so if I'm ever ill, I've got breathing space to, because if I'm ill, there's no one that can host the videos or anything like that. But like the banana peel video, like literally the night before at 9:30 at night, I was like, okay, I'm doing the banana peel video tomorrow. Boom, went into Sainsbury's before it shut at 10 o'clock, got all my ingredients, and then 9 a.m. after walking my dog and having some cornflakes, I'm cooking some banana bacon. So yeah, that would normally take, that video took like nearly all day to do. And then the edit would, what I've managed to do, one of the best things I've ever done is like palm the main final edit off to like a remote editor. So I've taught myself to film and edit and present and everything on this journey, which is really cool. But what I found was if I give the editing to someone else, that because I would say, oh yeah, I remember saying this, and it ended up being like a 30-minute long video, and like someone looking with a fresh set of eyes, okay, Barry, 2 puns is enough in this video. Like it strips it right back for me, so I can do the initial edit and then they'll do that. And yeah, I mean, on a day like today, I filmed this morning and I've got that edit done this afternoon, like the initial bulk edit, and then some of my Patreon followers will get that early access, the raw video as well. They'll get that like 3 days ahead of the final version going out, or even longer than that at the way it is at the moment. And then that gives my editor time to edit the final version that people see. So yeah, when I say that to other content creators, because obviously even people like Tom Scott, he there is very much a quality over quantity with that. And I've I kind of go the other way because I just love making food and enjoying the process. So it's sort of like I never script the videos. There's no plan, like let's say with the gadget videos. If they're good, they're good. If they're bad, yep, I let people know. And sometimes it might be a little bit of user error, but I think that's that thing of embracing that and just keeping it real, I think. So yeah, there's no sort of flashing lights or anything, although I have bought some lights now. They do help in these wintry days, but other than that, it's yeah, I think that's that thing years ago when YouTube first launched. Everyone's like, oh, the TV companies like, oh, this is going to take over TV. And it's just that thing now how you can pick up your phone, press record, or press record on here, like we're doing this podcast right now, and reach the world and find your audience.
Yeah, I said that the world and the internet has changed so much between sort of when you started making videos and now there's there's content everywhere, you could say. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I don't call it X, it's Twitter. Facebook, and I don't know anyone who calls it X, but anyways, do you try and make sure that you are as everywhere as can be, or do you think it's better to focus on YouTube, focus maybe putting posts on Instagram, etc., or do you try and spread yourself out?
I try to focus mainly on the long form content, because certainly in the last few years there's been this huge boom in sort of TikTok and short form content. But the way I've always looked at it is that, like, I can do short form videos, but I'm so far down the line of being like known for long form, which is in an ad revenue sense, advertisers are way more keen on long form content anyway, so they have that attention rather than a very short 10 to 60-second video. I remember things like Vine and stuff like that as well. And when I first started YouTube, Google Plus was around, and like you had to kind of have a Google Plus username for a little bit, and it's all. The really weird thing is all these trends sort of come and go. So I've just tried to say, do you know what? I'm just gonna, as long as I keep this format like fairly consistent, then things can be edited down. I look at like my videos as like the main content, but then from that I edit down my older videos and repost them on Facebook. And then there's some people that didn't actually see when I first did it, and they're like, oh, I saw your video the other day of this, and I'm like, yeah, that was 4 years ago. But for me, it's great because I can monetize on Facebook. So the videos that I've made over the years have become assets that I can then sort of repurpose and turn those into shorts or turn them into Facebook videos and other moments like that. And so that would be my favorite thing is to focus on the long form. That's the thing. You just pick out the highlights for different platforms, and I think it's so difficult to be everywhere, like say, because you've got like Twitter or X now that are starting to encourage content creators there, and TikTok, Instagram Reels, Instagram Stories, Facebook as well, and YouTube Shorts. It's hard to keep up with everything.
Yes, it
And
is.
yeah, I think it's really important to just focus on one platform that you enjoy, and if there's an option that you can sort of cascade down some of that content elsewhere, and see if it picks up any traction. If it's not going to cause too much hassle, then it's quite nice just to sort of go, well, that video or that podcast is recorded. Well, let's just take that favorite 30-second snippet of that and shove it on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, and just see if anyone finds it, and slowly move it on from there, really.
Yeah, because it can be quite tricky to, I said, you have to upload to like and manage like 6-7 different places all at once, and I think that was really excellent advice you just provided. It's just like, at least initially focus on one place and get yourself established there, and then start putting the feelers out here and there. That's really good advice. For someone like myself, so I like producing slightly long form, hour long content usually, and so I'm on like I have they've changed names like twice now, but it's like Spotify for podcasters, I think it's called now. It was Anchor, but whatever. And thankfully I can upload it there, and that spreads it to all the major podcasty places, so that it'll put it up on Amazon, Google Podcast, and the like. So I don't have to worry about that, and then I just upload the video to YouTube. So at least for me, it's a little bit easier. But when you've got, as you said, like Facebook Reels, Instagram Stories, I would be overwhelmed trying to get everything everywhere. I'm really sort of admirable of you being able to do all this, and you make it all look good as well.
Yeah, I think it's that thing of like having if you had a team there, then you could have someone that says, oh, okay, you can help me just make short content. And I almost was given a to-do list, like on Monday you're doing shorts, and then Tuesday you're doing your long form or whatever. Then you can sort of see how, if I had a larger team around me, how that's possible. But I kind of like that thing of not burning myself out, and just doing enough. It's really busy. I mean, that's the thing for my friends. They're like, sometimes in the past they're joking, oh, why don't you get a real job? I'm like, well, you just see that final video. There is a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And one of my friends got made redundant fairly recently, and I let him sit in with me on a day, and he was like, wow, you really do work quite hard. I was like, yeah, it's tough out there. And like I say, with all these platforms changing over the years historically, and I'm very lucky that I've built up quite a nice sort of library of videos that can sustain me without needing to do sort of any brand deals whatsoever. So I can survive off of my revenue from watching videos historically, which is good. So there's not really that real desperation maybe for a certain amount of views to a certain extent. It's just more still enjoying the process, and trying things rather than, because you can get really into like the data of like cross-posting videos, like reposting ones on Facebook every few hours, or trying different hashtags and posting at different times. It's it can be a real minefield, and also with that, it can it can really affect people's mental health. I've heard stories. Luckily I've stayed quite grounded, but if you do one video and it performs really well, so you do another one and it performs the opposite way, I think it can be a bit of soul searching in some ways, and particularly if people are trying to make a career out of it, it can be quite tough at times.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you haven't had that burnout, that exhaustion, because a friend I know who has his own YouTube channel, it's his own niche, and he was working every single day making videos, and he's editing his own videos, and he burned himself out. And it's just like it's sort of really heart-wrenching to sort of hear the sort of the spirit gone through him. And usually when they're a really nice bubbly guy, and just to hear him so morose, and it's just like, well, you should be doing this because you love it, don't burn yourself out. And I'm really glad to hear that it hasn't affected you. But I think because sorry.
Yeah, I learned the hard way. Obviously, I do try and take a few weeks off in January now, because it's really good just to put the phone down and just get away from social media just for a little bit sometimes, even for a content creator. So if I had the resources, I think going forward, I'll try and make it so that I'm not physically not putting videos up, because again, there's that thing of the algorithm keeping it happy of just keeping videos going. But I think it's just way more important to look after your health, and like say, if you're doing something you love, like that's that sort of quote, isn't it? Then you never work a day in your life. But it's important also to not overwork yourself and get that balance right, because then that's when the fun goes, and you start suddenly going, oh, well, am I doing this for fun, or am I doing this purely to make some money? And if you're doing that to make money, it shows. People will see it in your content if you're frustrated or tense or not yourself. The audience are clever, like I say, they're real people. And yeah, sometimes there's been videos where I had a friend that was going through a tough time, and I was not really myself in the videos, and people could pick up on it straight away, even though I'd not mentioned it at all. It's really interesting. So yeah, I think that's that thing of just getting the balance right and doing it all for the right reasons. Like, that's what worries me a little bit, is that, you know, the kids in playgrounds now are, I want to be a YouTuber and that, and it's like, okay, that's cool, but like, maybe learn to get a trade as well, and don't think that you're going to be doing it for a living and driving a Ferrari, because it's it's hard work and graft. But, you know, enjoy it. If you enjoy it, that is your form of payment at first, and see what happens, you know.
Do it because you love it, and that's I earn nothing from doing this, but I do love hearing the experiences from those, you know, the professionals like yourself. I know you don't feel professional, but to me, you are a professional YouTuber. You do this as a living, and I love hearing about your experiences and how, you know, how you've dealt with certain things, as I'm trying to sort of slowly build up my own channel, and hopefully we'll get it to, you know, a good spot where I can, you know, make a living off it. Because I remember when I told my mum, "Oh, I do these podcast things now," and one of the first things my mum said was, "Oh, do you make any money?"
Yes.
It's like, no, mum, no, not yet.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. Well, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the thing. You keep pushing with it and enjoying the process. And I think as well as trying to stay original as well. It's so hard to stay original these days, because if you do get a good idea, people will just pinch it straight away. And it's but if you can be you know, just have something about you that people like and resonate with, that's going to stand the test of time, and it will, yeah, just be relatable. Actually, that's one of the first things I get asked whenever someone knocks on the door, or if I'm doing a, you know, what's your occupation, and I tell them, because it's generally not on a drop down bar at the moment. I think photographers the closest. They're like, I tell them, and they're like, oh, how do you make money with that? That's always the first question. And you're like, okay. It's like, well, just the same as TV. You know, when there's a TV ad break on, and there's adverts being played, that's kind of the same as YouTube. And then it tends to be, I finish talking to these people, they're like, oh yeah, do you know what? I'm going to start my own channel. And it's like, good luck. But it's great. I think it's, like, say, it's opened the world for people of all different genres and niches. Like, you know, I remember years ago there was Will It Blend. There was a guy that he just blended up, huge food processors, and I think that as a result that ended up being one of the top selling food blenders in history, just from something really fun, you know. And that's how some of the best stories can start. So it's just that power of just being creative, I think, and enjoying yourself.
One of the biggest YouTube channels from Finland, you probably heard of them, was the Hydraulic Press channel. And all they did was crush stuff. That's all they did.
Yeah. Very therapeutic, isn't it? I've seen one where there's a human face doing it as well. Like, that's the human replicating it. That's quite funny, but with cake and things. So not quite as strong stuff, but yeah, that's that thing. It's just really like therapeutic watching content. There's a channel called the Slow Mo Guys.
Love them. Yeah.
They that's it. It's just, you know, they have a little bit of charm to it, which is really nice. But it's just, again, such a simple thing of slow motion, and it's just really fun on the eye, and different, you know.
Yeah, and to go back to some of your videos, one of the ones I watched semi recently was what I made with an unnecessarily large amount of Twiglets.
Oh yes, yeah.
I remember reading some of the comments, and people were like, "How could you order that many and not realize?"
Oh yeah, it was complete. Yeah, I didn't realize it was a multi-pack, and all I can say is I use Amazon an awful lot. So my basket for that, what would have been quite high, did not stand out whatsoever. It was like, okay. Like I think I had other things in the basket at the same time as well. So, and when it arrived, it was like, oh, okay, I need to do something with this now. And the Twiglet chicken was amazing.
Yeah,
it was really nice. Yeah, just half the world don't really know what Twiglets are, which is an interesting thing. So obviously that's sort of dried Marmite coated biscuits. So that's that thing of Marmite, and then Twiglets. America's sort of going, what is this?
Yeah. I remember. I don't know if you ever had them, but you remember curry Twiglets?
Oh gosh, no, I don't. That sounds
Oh, they
amazing.
were so good. This was like earliest 2000. I remember having them. Yeah, there was, because you had regular Twiglets and then you had curry Twiglets, and they were so good. And they stopped them. It's like, no, I like them so
Oh
much.
wow. Yeah,
But
it
what,
sounds like sort of like knickknacks a little bit.
a
Knickknack crisps.
little bit, yeah. I love
Yeah.
knickknacks as well.
Yeah, yeah. They're quite
um,
hard to get hold of now, but they're still
no,
around,
oh
aren't they?
no.
Yeah. Yeah, they do still. Yeah, you find these things where you think are discontinued, and they're like, still there. So, yeah, and Royster's crisps, that was one of my favourites as well. So it's very interesting how like I can rave about this, like going back to the baked beans and thing. Other countries would be like, what?
Wait, what?
What's a
Yeah.
twiglet? Yeah, yeah. That's quite fun. I mean, I have noticed that actually as trends over the years as it's gone by. Is like, like 5 years ago, getting marshmallow fluff in the supermarkets, you really, really couldn't do that. It was a lot harder. Maybe not seasonal, and pumpkin puree in tins. Like our supermarket's got an American aisle now where like all year round they have literally got like pumpkin puree all the time, and I think there's sort of like the internet's a lot towards that. I think it's created a demand of like s'mores and things that are always needed that you can get these ingredients just straight away now, and it's almost like this international array of ingredients that seem to
Mm.
be sort of available way more easily than they used to be. So it's it's interesting.
Because I do remember the days where if you wanted some American sweets like marshmallow fluff, as you said, you'd
Yeah,
have to go to that one shop in London that might have it.
that's right,
Yeah,
and pay an absolute fortune. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And it was just mad, and
yeah.
is it difficult maintaining an international audience, or you just kind of accepted that your majority audience is English, you're British?
Yeah. Actually, my demographics are about sort of 2/3 of our UK, Australian, and American. UK and US is the strongest ones. They're about even, and then Australia is just slightly less than that, and then it goes to countries all over. But I try to diversify as much as I can, and like I say, I get sometimes I get a flurry of people saying, "Oh, you did one vegan video, can you do like 10?" And it's like it's just all about balance, right? And keeping that's those things with these trends. Generally, if I from time to time do a recipe that's in trend, it's probably been spotted generally all over the world. But then I'll maybe focus on something a bit more unique, like like an English specific recipe or something like that. And also, yeah, anything that like comes to mind, like I want to do, or I'm starting to think about more about sort of maybe getting out and about a little bit more. I had this idea of doing going to see if I can get to France and have like the number one baguette in France cheaper. That will be more expensive than actually traveling to France. So the video is going to be called "Can I get to France cheaper than it is to buy a baguette in France" or something. So I think that would be quite funny, and maybe get an Airbnb when I'm there and do a video in a random kitchen to make it worthwhile.
Oh, that would be fun to watch. I was
Yeah.
going to ask as well, is there any sort of dream video that you really want to make, but you don't have the budget or the time for?
Oh, blimey. I mean, when I was doing Giant Foods originally, obviously it's quite harder to do that so much now because of like food waste and things. I really like to have done that on a much bigger scale, but like do it where it's organized and people could come and have a slice and a photo with it, and all that money goes to charity. Like,
Yeah.
I think that would have been really cool to have done like literally like a 10-foot Mars bar. In fact, I nearly did do that. That was a bit of a random story. There's a production company got in touch and said, "Hey, we're Channel 5. We work for Channel 5. We're going to do this. I can't remember what it's something called, The Wonderful World of Chocolate or something. Oh, we want you to make a giant Snickers bar for us." I was like, "Well, how big do you want it?" And they're like, "Well, as big as you can." I said, "Okay." So I got a trough off of eBay and I started to do it all. And then they sort of said, "Oh no, you've got to pay for the ingredients." I was like,
Oh,
"What? And you're not paying me to do this?" Like, "Oh right, okay." And they're like, "How long will it take to do it?" I said, "Probably a day at best, maybe two, just in case." So they said, "Okay," because we've got to put our crew, our camera people, the lighting researchers, all up in a hotel nearby. And I'm thinking, hang on a sec, like you guys are going to come away from London and get like they're going to get their B&B paid for, breakfast, lunch, and they're getting paid, and I've got to like hopefully make this massive Snickers. And yeah, that's that very nearly happened. I just said, if you're not going to even pay for the ingredients, they said, "Oh no, you're going to get exposure on Channel 5." And I think the viewing figures that came in were like less than I was getting on my channel anyway. So it's
oh,
just
God.
like, no, it's absolutely fine. And yeah, that's I had to send the trough back. Like it was really, it was going to be absolutely gigantic. But yeah, there is that sort of thing of like, if that failed, it would have been, yeah, quite a bit of pressure knowing that I've got. It's quite nice in the setting that I'm in. It's just, I'm at home and it's very relaxed. And if it fails, it fails. But when you've got like suddenly a huge camera in front of you and a big microphone and a researcher and a sound guy and a director all saying right action, you're like, oh right, it suddenly looks a very which is that charm of content creation on a simple level now. Like that's when YouTube first started, like the fact that you can go live on your phone now, I would have dreamed to have done that. That's so cool that you can, anyone can do it, and that's that thing. It's sort of, if you've got the right idea, the right mindset, a bit of patience and motivation to just keep going and just enjoy the process, it can change your life.
I think that's a good point to start wrapping up on this. And I said it before, I'll say it again. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Barry, for spending your time talking to this little tiny insignificant weirdo on the internet. And
No.
and I really do hope that you can keep making content for many more years. I always enjoy the honesty of your videos. Your videos have inspired me to actually experiment with my own cooking in places, and I said it's the honesty, it's the realness. There's no gloss. It's you in a kitchen, sometimes with a friend or your family, and that's great. And I think that really shines through your videos, and I just thank you for all the many years that I've been enjoying your content, and just again thank you very much for sharing some of your stories with us here.
Oh no, I really appreciate you reaching out, and it's really kind words as well. And thanks for having me. And like I say, hopefully these snippets have been interesting. There's plenty more of ups and downs over the years. It's really not as fun as it sounds, but it is also at the same time as fun as it sounds. So I'm glad that you enjoy what I do, and thanks for having me.
Thank you all for being here. Again, if you like what I'm doing, please consider liking and subscribing so I can continue to make more in the future. This is Kraken, signing out.